God is faithful to forgive us and to forgive us from all unrighteousness. To that extent, we can say, quite frankly, that we ought to have found the maturity among us by now to have buried all hatchet, to have allowed remediation of whatever might have gone wrong, so that together as one body, we can achieve what we know we all can achieve in the business of fostering the progress of this republic. No matter what party we belong to, our economy is in a bad strait. Unemployment is high. Insecurity is troublesome. Infrastructure is decrepit. Much of the treasury of the land is empty. And yet we must summon the courage among us to find solutions, because that's the job of senators. In that regard, I want to challenge us that before we know it, we will get buried in the process of 2019. If we will do the business of this country, the next 1 year must not be like the last 1 year in how we conduct the affairs of Nigeria. We can point accusing fingers at each other. You can point accusing fingers at us. We can point fingers at you. But honestly, beyond the snide remarks, which sometimes I swallowed the words I was going to use, doesn't speak the best of us. What we must need to do is to say, from where we are and where we want to go, how do we get there? My prayer to God is that we will summon the courage, the wisdom, the integrity, and the basic honesty and consideration of others to do that which we need to do, so that before politics starts again and we begin to point fingers at each other, we can at least achieve a few basic things for the Nigerian people. One, how do we ensure that before the end of this tenure, that we no longer import petrol? We can talk about the price of petrol. The reason it's so high is because we are importing it. How can we get our refineries to work again? How can we do that? That's our challenge. When we do that, price will fall. How can we ensure that unemployment is dealt a big blow? If we don't do that, we can come back a year again and pat ourselves on the back. Those who are outside are not patting us on the back. That's the truth. They call us names. Sometimes they are wrong, but oftentimes they are right, because they don't think we are protecting their best interest. How can we do it? That the problem of the Northeast will become past tense. Each of us, only yesterday, some of us here were talking about the marginalization of the region that produces the oil, and they were talking correctly. But guess what? That's how the Northeast talks. If you go to the Southeast, the South will tell you, since the Biafra war ended, we have not really been integrated within Nigeria. I don't believe that, but that's how they feel. When you go to the Southwest, when we were talking this last budget, I know there was a big tussle about the Lagos-Ibadan Express Road, because it consumes such a big chunk of the budget for roads. And yet on that road, 95% of the luxurious buses are owned by Igbos. By Igbos. That's the truth. Yes. On that Lagos-Ibadan Express Road, Ekenedi Lichuku, the young child grow, they all have. That's the truth. What I'm saying is, together, we must find a way of saying an end to the myth of the greener grass we always think the other people are doing better than we are. Every part of Nigeria is doing badly, and the earlier we all come together to rescue the whole of Nigeria together, the better for all of us. May God help us.
Thank you.
The trust that goes on that road. And by the way, the trucks that go on that road from Lagos to Ibadan, from Yobe, 95% of the crop belongs to Nigerians of northern extraction. So the truth is our road. Let's build it together. God bless you all.
Thank you, distinguished colleagues. Because I know a lot of people want to speak, I'll try and make it as short as Senator Samaya will make it short. I'll restrict everybody now to 2 minutes so that we can get a lot of people to speak.
Thank you, Mr.
I will be going between back and front. Otherwise, you might get a revolt today. You have
eaten into my time, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Samuel Anyanwu. I represent Imo East in Imo State. Mr. President, on behalf of my constituent, my family, my constituents, and the people of Imo State, I wish to congratulate all of us for this one-year anniversary of the 8th Senate. Mr. President, I find myself privileged to be here, and I appreciate all the contributions of my colleagues, and I have learned a lot also from my colleagues. I want to thank them very much. Mr. President, I remember once in 2004, when the then former chairman of PDP, national chairman of PDP, Chief Awudu Ogbe, who is now the current Minister for Agriculture, he said in one of our workshops that today you have been elected as a chairman or as a governor, as a House of Reps or Senate, that one thing is certain, that this position you are, you must have two addresses. The address where you are now as an elected person, and the address where you will fall back when you leave. But what is paramount is that people, men and women, old and young, came out under the sun and under the rain to vote for us. And I want to owe them is dividend of democracy. And if we do not provide that, they will start murmuring. And their murmuring will turn into a curse, which no fortune teller can cure. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I think we have a lot of challenges in this country, and we all have agreed on that. I think it's important that the youth of this country, Mr. President, are watching us. I believe that we have a lot of responsibility to ensure that the youth of this country have a feel of this governance. It is important. If we do that, Mr. President, by the time we leave after our 4 years, we'll be welcome back home, softly. But if we do not do that, Mr. President, will be a mockery to our people. And I believe none of us here want to be a mockery to his own generation. Mr. President, I want to also join others who have spoken to wish Mr. President a very quick recovery. But Mr. President, it is important also to note that today we have discovered that healthcare is a problem in Nigeria. If we have a very good hospitals and very good healthcare facilities, I don't expect the President of Nigeria to travel all the way to London for treatment. I think we have a lot of responsibility to ensure that our healthcare sector is being taken care of very well. Very important, Mr. President. Mr. President, I also want to thank...
2 minutes is all. You have to...
Mr. President, let me join us to thank you and the leadership of the Senate. The leadership have shown the road. And I want to use the opportunity to, Mr. President, to ask our colleagues, just like the Deputy Senate President has said, power belongs to God. It could be anybody today, it could be another person tomorrow. Let us work together. Let us forget that will divide us. And look at that will unite us as a Senate and one family. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Nala.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. Happily enough, Mr. President is addressing me today as Senator Nala. So may I now begin the address by saying that I am Senator Nala representing Kebbi South. And for the purpose of this discourse, not the Deputy Majority Leader of the Senate. But I must recognize the fact